Have you ever tried to reach a new goal, take on a new habit, bring your business to the next level, but it just doesn't seem to work? And I know there's a lot of hype, and even I talk about, the importance of having your why and having a real reason of why you're doing. And there's a lot of conversation about your passion, your purpose, finding your why. But sometimes, just sometimes, it does not work. This week, I want to talk to you about an amazing book, which is called Willpower Does Not Work by Benjamin Hardy. And the reason I like this book is because it takes a different conversation. Yes, understanding the purpose, why we're doing things is important, for sure. But sometimes it's just not enough. And we've all had times in our lives where we want to bring our business to the next level. We want to do this thing, and we can't put our finger why. And this is why I like this book. So there's specific pages that I've put on. I've so many bookmarks in this book. So one of the key things that Benjamin Hardy brings in his book, and seriously, all his books are amazing, is first, necessity is the single most important factor in greatness. Because obviously, as humans, if it's not required from us to move, to change, we won't move, we won't change. Fundamentally, our brain is lazy. It wants to stay in its comfort zone. So, of course, understanding why you want to change, understanding why you're doing what you're doing, but understanding why you want to change. What do you want more of, and what do you want less of? And you need to make it, and we need to bring it to a point where it's not I'd like to, it's a must. So we want to really work on that duality of what do I want more of and what do I want less of, and really stretch it, because it's in that stretch that actually brings in the motivation, which brings in, it's a non-negotiable. So there's a sentence here, there's a part in a book where I absolutely love it, and it's such a reflection of what I see, is most people are living small, not because they lack the inherent talent, but because their situation isn't demanding more of them. What are you in a comfort zone? Is a place where you are, is it okay? Until we're in that comfort zone, we cannot expect change to happen, change to occur. So how do we make our comfort zone uncomfortable? That is what we want to make. Because as long as the brain says, hey, you know what, this is good, it's okay, even if it's not great, as long as it's okay, we're not going to change. So one of the fundamental things that we need to do is to make that comfort zone uncomfortable. So really playing on that duality and really going deep inside of what do I want more of and what do I want less of, that is what's going to help us refine that necessity, and really go back to the why, but not just intellectually, really the driving force. So I like this book because it's particularly practical. And one thing that he brings on is the new science of transformation, where we used to think that the mind, if we bring our mind to the next level, our body will also follow, which is true. But the new science has really brought on that it's not a mind-body only way, it's a mind-body and body and mind. So sometimes by understanding what we want and what we no longer want, we will actually follow and take action. And sometimes, and this is really the big premise of the book, is by changing our body or changing our environment, that our mind will follow. So this is not a one direction where mind and then body follows. There's also the relationship that when the body moves, the mind also moves. So what does this mean in real world? It means that if you change your environment, you will change. You want to feel more confident? Change your clothes, change your hairdo, put on some perfume, some cologne. Change and you will become also more confident. You want to be more productive? Well, change your office space. And especially now in the pandemic, well, we know that the virtual working, the remote working and the virtual meetings are there to stay. And if you find yourself sluggish because you're working all the time or it's just not optimal, well, change your environment and you will become more productive. So make your work area somewhere where it's exciting, it drives you. If you're in a beautiful area where you get to see outdoors and the birds are chirping and the garden and you're not finding yourself productive, maybe putting yourself in an area where you don't have such a beautiful area, but you have a more of a focused area. And the opposite can be true for you. The lesson here is to understand that our environment changes our behavior. So if we are too comfortable in an environment, well, that's going to make that you don't take action. So moving that, change your clothes, change your hairdo, change your environment, and that will help you bring to the next level. So if you're finding right now that in your business and at home in your home office, you're kind of in a comfort zone and you want to grow your business, find a way to change your environment. And that will actually help you. Your environment will help you bring it to that next level, really get out of that comfort zone that we have. Another great insight that I really like that he brought into the book is positive stress. And this is something that we rarely see. We often associate stress to something that is very negative because it often is. But there is such a fact as positive stress. And the way that he puts it is positive stress teaches us our limits and makes us stronger. So let's say that you move into a bigger house, not necessarily a bigger house or a more expensive house, or you actually stretch your comfort zone. That is positive stress because it allows you to test your limit. And we all know, and we've all lived this, where we had a certain level of expenses. So you had a specific car, your car was paid off, and then you decide to buy a new car, and somehow you managed to pay that car. Where you didn't have the expense before, and now you have the expense, and you're not broke. You figured it out. That is what positive stress does. So how could you perhaps add positive stress in your life to go to that next level, that next version of yourself? In addition to the positive stress, which is really such a great concept because it's all about mindset, right? And the book is really practical, and it brings also habits. So it brings us the understanding that how our environment influences our behavior, how positive stress really allows us to stretch that comfort zone that we have. Now let's get into tactics. So he talks about means goal versus end goals. For example, you're taking a program. Why are you taking it? So the program is a means goal. Maybe changing the way you're having conversations with your clients to become a trusted advisor is your end goal. So we really want to put an emphasis on end goal and not just means goal. So you're not just doing something for something. You're doing it for a purpose. What is the end? And when we start with the end in mind, then the steps become clear. And this is something that I see a lot where we do a lot of things, but it's not tied in clearly with the end goal. And this is how we end up doing a lot of things because the end is not clear. When the end is clear, my path is a lot simpler, is a lot clearer. It's like a GPS, right? I can be driving for driving, but if I put in my GPS, this is where I'm going, it's going to find the fastest route. So understanding your means goal versus your end goal. And obviously he also brings in a lot of strategy in terms of habits, how to create new habits, how to realign often when we get lost in the busyness of the world. And where a lot of books don't bring in, he also brings in concept to prevent self-sabotage. So obviously, when we stretch our comfort zone, our brain is going to go, I don't like change, and we'll want to sabotage our behavior to go back in its comfort zone. So our role here is to put in tactics and really an action plan on how am I going to prevent the self-sabotage. So one that he brings in is, he calls it implementation intention. I just call it, like foresee your failure ahead of time. That's just how I call it. Here it's to understand the if-then strategy. So the brain always works as an if-then. And so how do I use that mechanism that the brain has to prevent self-sabotage? Well, it's to put in rule. If I check my emails more than twice a day, then I need to do 20 push-ups. If I do this behavior that I want to stop, then this is what I have to do. This is what I will do. Behavior that might be a little bit painful. So these are ways that actually we prevent self-sabotage, because I don't want that consequence. But if I don't put in the rule of the game, the brain will just do what the brain needs to do to stay in its comfort zone. So understanding his concept, he calls it implementation intention. And obviously, visualize the process, not just the outcome. And this is where a lot of people get, I don't want to say confused, but in a lot of this visualization concept, it's about visualize what you want, what you want, what you want. But when the gap is too big for the brain just shuts down. So start visualizing as well the process. How am I going to get there? What are the steps that I'm going to do? And that is what good and effective visualization is all about. It's just not just, this is what I want, this is what I want, this is what I want. It's a lot has to do with this is what I'm going to do. The brain works in action, not in intention. And the last thing that I want to bring you about this book is a passage where he says, if you want to do something extremely well, you need to surround yourself with the right mentors. High-level goals require high-quality mentoring. That's true. I have a coach. My coach has a coach. My coach's coach has a coach. Why? Because this is what helps us get out of our own emotions, of our own mindset. When somebody else challenges our way of thinking, challenges the belief that we have, sabotage that we might be actually doing that we don't see because we're in it, a coach, a mentor helps us get out of there. So if you want to reach a whole new level of success, accomplishment, bring in new habits, do things differently. And the whole why purpose right now isn't working, definitely get this book. It brings us really consciousness of there is another way. So there's times where understanding your why and your purpose will actually be your driving force. But sometimes we need to understand that our environment actually also has a huge role to play in there. And here we talk a lot about our physical environment, but also who surrounds us also plays a huge role. So this is the type of book that personally I read and reread every couple of years, because there's things that we'll forget, there's things that I'll know but I'm not applying, and every time I pick up something different, something more that helps me really unlock a whole new level of potential that maybe I didn't even know that I had, but that we already had. So here's your mission this week. Grab the book. Pretty simple. Grab the book, read the book. And this is really the type of book that you want to have in physical copy. So I have highlighted areas, I have dogs and pages that are dog-eared, I have post-its, I have all kinds of things because it depends on every time that I will read it. Get the book and understand that your environment has a huge influence on you. So maybe look in your environment, your physical environment, the people who surround you. What do you need to do to make your zone of comfort uncomfortable? Because that is where we grow. That is how we stretch. And then that's how we really propel ourselves and our business. So I hope you like this episode. If you give it a thumbs up. And if you're looking for more tools to build and grow your service-based business, come on over to our website and join our blog, where we talk about, every week I talk about marketing, productivity, and mindset. Basically, all the tools that we need to achieve. So thank you for being here week after week, and I will see you next Tuesday. I hope you liked this episode. If you did, please make sure you give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and check out these other videos that I think would probably interest you.